The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions of WBGR Network.
Hello and welcome. Hey! I'm your host, Coy, comedian, nice guy advocate, and so much more. Welcome to another show of I Am Not Your Enemy. I Am N.Y.E, folks. It's about not being each other's enemy, because that's what we're all about here, huh? On the I Am N.Y.E show, which, by the way, started years ago when it was just an internet radio show, but now it is a social media podcast TV show here on WBGR Entertainment. It's great to come to you here live. Look, folks, we got a great show ahead of you, and I've got to go ahead and start it right off the bat here. I have I'm talking about God's model couple, okay? So we're going to see it now. This is what they told me. But no, I believe it because I could just see the rapport amongst each other. They were just loving. I just loved them. They came in the door laughing. It was just great. It was just wonderful. I'm excited. You be excited. Without further ado, let's go ahead and welcome our guest for today. Start off with the missus. And that happens to be Tanya.
Tanya.
Can I say Tanya?
No.
Even though it has an A, hey?
That's not what my mama said. That's not what my mama said.
I don't want your mama to come through the camera and get me. So I'm gonna go ahead and say Tanya.
Thank you.
Even though it has an A in it, but you know, mothers always want to be creative. Am I right?
True.
It's not creative.
They always want to just say, well, no, you're not pronouncing the A. It's still Ah. So it's Tanya E. Hood, and the wonderful man, Mr. Eric B. Hood.
The one and only.
And y'all are Hood. Not Hood, but Hood. You're Hood. The Hoods, everybody. Let's welcome the Hood. They're not from the Hood. They could be from the Hood, but we're going to find out where they're from exactly. But welcome to I Am Not Your Enemy talk radio, TV, social media podcast show.
Thank you.
It's a mouthful. So I'm excited. We've had so many couples on here just talking about how they've met each other, the love that they've had each other. And that's one of the things we try to do here on the show of I Am N.Y.E is to kind of give people hope. To give them something to look forward to, because of course there's so much out there that's so discouraging.
That's true.
That's true.
Am I right?
That's true.
Very true.
So I love it. I love it. Big shout out to all those who are getting married soon. It's exciting. I love it. But you guys have already been married. You've been married for how long?
8 years, almost 9. It'll be
Almost
9 in January.
9 in January.
On her birthday.
That's because he was a birthday present. You got to open up your presents on your
It's
birthday.
not that I would have forgotten. Ladies' choice. I just rolled with the flow.
So it's your birthday.
Yeah.
How exciting is that? So it just happened to be that, or you?
She chose it.
So
You
God
chose
and I
it.
had a conversation.
God and you had a conversation.
This
Okay.
is my second marriage.
Okay.
After the first one, I went through, well, divorce can be traumatizing. So after the traumatic events of that, I went through a series of growth, development, and lessons.
Yes.
And we'll have another discussion about it a little bit later because a lot of that is written in the book. But God and I had a discussion, and I had a thought that came, and I wrote about this, about a birthday party. And I wanted to have my birthday party on an island. And then the thought hit me, you're going to be married.
Now, which island?
St. Thomas is where we actually got married.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So the thought
Okay,
hit me.
man.
It's in one of the pictures that they'll see.
All right. Well, yes. If you just look through the pictures as you're looking, it'll pop up, and you'll probably say, "Who's went to St. Thomas?" But I know exactly where they are. I've gone there myself. Lord of mercy. So St. Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so the thought was, you'll be married before you're 40. And I'm sitting like, how? I wasn't dating, wasn't looking to date. I was not repeating this process after the dramatic issues of that first marriage. So
marriage was never on your mind. You
was
wasn't
not
trying
my
to do
thought.
that. You were.
I was planning a birthday
Did you
party.
rebuke God? Did you think it was the enemy talking?
No. I
you
did
knew
not
it was
rebuke God.
I mean, not knowing that it was. Maybe sometimes like, oh, I'm not hearing you because I've just been through that traumatic experience with the divorce.
I did not. You know how you don't search for where God is? I was still on a journey to get a better understanding about who He is, how He spoke to me. So you were on that path. But I wasn't on a path to look for Him.
You were on a
I
path
was on a path to look for me.
Okay. Oh.
So the birthday party was for me. Just so happens, around the time frame that God showed me, I was going to have my birthday party.
You got lucky.
Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya.
It is, huh?
Happy
Thank you.
Okay. So, do you have anything to add to that?
I wasn't looking for her either. I was just going through life, and I'd had enough of relationships. And in fact, God and I have a very, very personal relationship. I can't repeat exactly what I said to him, but I let him know real clearly that if he didn't show me the one for me, I was just going to be a wild boy. Let's just put it like that. And then she popped along.
Not a bad boy, but a wild boy. That's like to the next level right there, huh? That's different. Oh my goodness, you were just.
And one evening, I was in business, and I walked into, and I would be in and out of that business because I could. And this was one of the times where I was coming back to Graceton with my presence, and this young lady walked in and stopped me immediately. I looked at her, I spoke, and my tongue just kind of fell out of my mouth. And I walked into my god brother's office. He ran the office, and I said, "Who is she?" And he looked at me like I was crazy. He said, "Who is who?" I said, "The young lady just walked in the door." And I started describing her. He said, "Oh, it's got to be Tanya because nobody else in here looks like that." And so I immediately gave him the 3rd degree or 4th, 5th, 6th degree. I wanted to know everything about her in that very second before class started. And he looked at me like I was crazy. He said, "We'll talk later." So I was like, man. So I walked back out.
Come on, man. Get off me, man.
Give me the information.
Man. I'll talk to you later.
I want all of this. And so I went back out and went through class, and the whole time in class I'm staring at her. So needless to say, I didn't learn anything in that particular class.
So literally, because when you say the whole tongue, I always see that cartoon with the. It just rolls down the floor and
exactly.
Right.
That's how it was. And she was so cool, calm, and collected. It was like, "Hello." And while my tongue is hanging out, she's, "Hello." I didn't even matter.
I didn't notice.
At the moment.
Compose yourself, man. Get it together.
I lost it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you hear this. Look at you're glowing cheek to cheek. Look at that. She is still blushing just from hearing that story, and I'm sure you heard it several
And she
times.
still makes my tongue hang out every day. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
That's love, folks. That's love. So that's a good thing. After 9 years, it's still a great thing.
Absolutely.
So you drilled this guy and you interrogated him, waterboard, whatever you had to do to find out more information about Mrs. Tanya
Thank you.
Hood.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So did you get all that you needed to get?
He gave me enough, and the rest was my own observations and doing my homework and research, all of that. I watched her every time she came to class. I'm always an early type of person, so I would always be there early.
And what class was this?
It was financial services we were dealing with. And I would always get there early, so I noticed that Tanya had a pattern. She wouldn't always get there on time. Classroom would fill up. So me and my strategic self would always make sure that it was a seat next to me with my extra belongings on it so that I could easily move out of the way so the young lady could have a seat. Very strategic.
Very player, too.
Yes, sir.
Look at that.
Yes, sir. Well, I did go to Eastern Senior High School in D.C., and that's one of the traits we got from over there. So I'm just saying.
Oh, boy.
So yes, I did play in that. I did it every week, and a lot of weeks it worked because she would come and I'd offer her my seat, and she would gladly sit right beside me exactly as I planned. Thank you, Lord.
You are a strategic gentleman, I should say.
I was determined to win. That was my thing.
Wow,
so,
you were determined, man.
Absolutely.
And you had no clue. You just knew
was
that I'm just rushing into. Oh my goodness, I'm late. I'm late. Oh.
He was nice. He was kind. That's what I saw.
Okay. But you had no idea. You just so happens, wow, this seat always seems to be available right here. It just so happens that his stuff, he always saves a seat for me.
There was.
You weren't even, you had no clue.
I still have to learn some social clues. That has not always been my strong suit. So I didn't.
Let me tell you how I sealed the deal, though.
Yes, let's jump to that.
So we're in class one night, and my godbrother who ran the office, his wife was instructing tonight, and she's a very strict person on doing the right thing, and I'm like the elder statesman in the office. I had more experience than everyone else prior to, other than my brother. And so we're in class this night, and of course the seat was right beside me. She sat in it, and the topic for that night was partnership and how your partner can help you in the business. And I made the statement, I don't have one of those at home, anybody at home to help me. And she said the same thing, neither do I. And so, back in the day in grade school, you had a little piece of paper you wrote on there, will you give me a chance or be my boyfriend, girlfriend, check yes or no. I wrote, will you be my partner, check yes or no.
See, I like that because I remember there was always a third line, which I should have just kept a yes or no. That would have made it clear. But then there was always that third line, folks. You know what that third line was? It was the maybe part, huh? And it maybe would always get me every single time, Therefore, I am the nice guy's advocate. So
I didn't put that third line on there.
You didn't put that third line on there. It was yes or no.
And as she's been doing right here, she burst out laughing. And
think about that.
And
no, pause. Because every time he tells this story, it makes me look like something's wrong with me. You're in the middle of a training session for business, and you get a third grade note. What do you do?
That was serious business. I meant that. I planned that thing out.
What did you do? What did you do, Tanya?
I couldn't help it. I laughed.
So I didn't lie.
Very cute.
Now, mind you, this very strict instructor had a problem with that.
How did he find out?
It was her. She said, Tanya, what are you doing? Because she disrupted class. And you know what I did? I looked at Tanya like this. I'm like,
he threw me under the bus.
Wow.
Eric couldn't be seen.
I almost feel like you guys were in grade school, actually.
Like I was wanting to say I didn't do it, but
I had a reputation. Nobody would have believed that I instigated that at all. I was told I had to be.
So what happened? So the teacher got to you.
I had to have a conversation after class.
Okay. You didn't get put in timeout. Okay, we're going to give you some more debt. Okay, try to figure that out. Once you figure that out, then...
That does feel like timeout.
Then you can come back. Okay,
but the best part of that was, she said yes, and asked me out to lunch. Gave me her card.
I discovered he was serious.
Can you say cha-ching?
I'm done. Good night, everybody. That's all we have for today.
That was the beginning.
I can't wait to get to your book because I'm sure it's a motivational book. Maybe it's a motivation to get guys on how to get to that place.
Not in that book, but
maybe
a future book.
Okay. He has a new book.
We'll get to that book later, folks. But, all right, so let's speed it up here. So you took him out.
Mm-hmm.
We went to lunch. She invited me out, but we went to lunch. I paid for the meal.
Okay.
Let's get that straight. She picked the place, I paid for it, which was fine with me. But I got to add this one part that I'm going to let her talk, I promise.
And it's interesting that you did pay for the meal because in today's society,
it's
just the opposite. If the woman invites you, guess who pays for the meal?
Well, that goes back to my home training.
Sometimes it's the woman, hey, well, she invited me. So it just depends on the individual, like you said. Yeah. So let's talk about that. You went out.
Right, and to clear that part up, my mom taught me better. My mom raised me as a gentleman, God rest her soul. And there was no way I was going to have this young lady, whether she invited me out or not, and I not pay for the meal.
And
first date,
she picked
the location. It was near her job. And so we go in, and the proximity of how we were sitting it may
It
be
was just
not much more
simple
space
What
than
was
this.
going through your mind right now?
Just
Because
straight
this is
across. It's not like that was any strategic planning.
No,
Eric,
no.
Eric, you actually, I mean, this is a. Could you have imagined it coming to this? Was this something? Were you excited? What were your thoughts?
I was. Let's put it to you like this: before that date, I had never not finished a meal in my life, ever. I didn't finish my meal that day. I was too busy staring at her because she was sitting directly across from me, and I was just looking at her eyes, and I'd never been that close, looking directly like this, like I am now, and I was mesmerized, and I couldn't finish my meal, but she gladly finished it for me. So
I don't have a problem eating.
So you mean to tell me, Tanya, that you actually ate the food
I
off
asked
of his
him,
plate?
was he done with it?
she did ask, and she finished my meal.
Just take it. I asked.
That's
Good
a true
man.
story.
Well, that's great because most men would have a hissy fit because, I mean, not most men, but I don't know most men, but it's like some men will, they like eat. Like, don't you have your own food? Why are you eating off of my plate?
You know, I'm gonna share this with the audience. I don't think like most men. I never have. Growing up, I often got into, I'll say, disagreements with fellas because I didn't think the way they thought, because my mama didn't raise me that way. See, if I had a plate full of my favorite meal and Tanya wanted it, I'd give her every bit of it, because I know she would do the same thing for me also. That's just the level of love and respect that we have for one another. It doesn't matter. If she wants it, she can have it. And so, but that day it was just because I couldn't eat. So
Okay. You were mesmerized.
mesmerized. I'm not ashamed to say that. I was mesmerized.
So you ate all his food. You took him out to a place that you recommended, which of course you loved, and you ate everything off of his plate and your plate. because he was mesmerized. So now, how did we get to the place of? Because this is what all single people want to know. How did it happen? How did it come to just? Was it conversation? What made you guys start to have that type of Lady and the Tramp scene in the Disney film?
It's funny you say that. I've always called myself the Beast, and she, you know,
Beauty and the Beast.
and she's the beauty. I'm the Beast. I've always used that analogy there, but I'm gonna let Tanya explain that part from her standpoint.
So, just the basics of relationship. I believe that there's a strategy that God puts in place for us. It's not that I was walking through it, but because we're designed in His image, it's a natural walk. Friendship first. You share who you are with your friends. I was not looking for him to be anything other than a friend. So we just became really good friends. It got to the place where he would just share some insightful things because we're both native Washingtonians.
Okay.
So there was some connecting conversations about where we grew up, listening to different things. And so the friendship just melds off of what friendships commonly meld off of. What are your common likes? What are your common interests? So that's where it began. And I write about this also in my book to help, because the strategy and goal of that book was to help people get to a place of healing and a place of growth. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's called Red Alert. Is He the One? The Pocket Guide to Finding the Love of Your Life. And I talk about this in chapter 1, because if nobody gets past chapter 1, at least you'll have a few stepping stones that can get you to a better position. So after friendship, there's courtship. And a courtship is a natural progression towards marriage.
So you guys became friends.
Became first.
She skipped one part.
Uh-oh.
I mentored her in business first in that office, because the guy
he
who
talked about the
the guy
relationship.
no, we're gonna get to that. That's it led to that though. The guy that ran the office, she was being trained, and he noticed how sharp Tanya was, and he said to me, he said, "Listen, she's brilliant. I want you to train her because I don't want to waste her talent." So I started as her mentor in the office. Then we became friends. Then as we became friends, we became spiritual partners. We would uplift each other from a spiritual standpoint, so
Wow.
that strengthened our friendship. And then we went to the courtship part, because I saw something that she still hadn't seen yet.
And you were keeping real cool. Is that right, Eric? You're keeping real cool about it because
I'm always, that's kind of like my demeanor.
because you didn't want it. And let me
You
just
see how sharp he is today, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's
See, she complimented you. Look, love it, folks. You compliment the man. He loves it, right? It's a great thing. We love when
she makes me blush anyway.
makes him away.
But
Tell me.
seriously, that's how I got started. I was being cool because I respected her intelligence. I respected her as a woman. You know, And first
So
and
you
foremost,
weren't
I
trying
had
to jump straight to
No.
relationship.
No,
I'm
because-
interested in you. I'm mesmerized. Let's go ahead and.
Well, I believe that God answered my prayer, and I told you what I was going to be if God didn't send love to me, and I was starting to see some things in her that I admired, and I was like, could be. So God and I started having conversations. God, what about? Is this the one? What's up? You know? And God didn't always answer me. He just said, "Be her friend. Just be who you are."
And that's what really kept you in that.
Right.
And that's what gave you the patience.
And that's what people lose. You try so much because social media gives you this impression that you have to be somebody other than how you're created. We are unique beings for a reason. If you are who you are, the person that you're supposed to be with is naturally drawn to you. I was naturally drawn to his character, his integrity. It's just the aspects that I wasn't really looking initially, but I found later, because backtrack a little bit, and I wrote about this in chapter 3. So I wrote a list after my divorce because in my mind I needed to create a strategic way because I'm an electrical engineer by discipline and a project manager by trade. So you analyze, you assess, you put a plan in place, you strategize. This is what you do. So on my list, I later discovered it was a list of 20 because making a list of
That's not
love
my
is
favorite
kind
part of the
of. But at any rate, there was a list of 20, and he matched 17 out of the 20 because, the first 3 was God and I having a conversation. I was sort of messing
I was 0 for 3.
That's a good percentage, though.
But those pieces that he matched were aspects of me, my personality, my personal quirks, things that I read biblically. There was a discussion, and I go further into the book. 1 Timothy chapter 3, verses 1 through 8, that shows, it says deacon, but that shows the character of a man. And Isaiah 32 does the same thing. And so he mirrored what those spiritual aspects were. And it was just natural. And him being who he was, just operating in the natural aspect of who God designed you to be.
Flirting with me.
I can't help it.
Okay.
Don't you love these two folks? Don't you love them? Aren't they adorable? I just love you guys. I really do. This is what it's about, folks. This is what it's about. Now let's look at these flyers here. Let's look at these pitches. Pitches. Lovely pitches. You guys were doing some sort of
That was
work.
a
painting for his
Painting.
birthday.
Right. The first picture was at Matchbox in Rockville.
We still date. That's one of the
Yeah.
things
You
that
still
we
date?
do.
Yeah, in fact,
Look at the wedding. Look at that. Beautiful.
St. Thomas,
That's
man.
That's in St. Thomas.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I love that shot.
So do I.
Beautiful dress.
Beautiful
We're
woman.
not talking about that.
Now,
part.
who
I
was
looking at
flying the
scene.
helicopter? Were you flying the helicopter?
No. We were strictly passengers. That was a little crop duster. We were in Hawaii.
Oh, a plane.
I believe it was Christmas of 2016, right?
I think so.
And that's another picture from Hawaii. And Tanya thought about doing a helicopter, but we couldn't get the helicopter, so we went on the plane, and we went to places that you could not get to in Hawaii except through the air
by
or
plane.
on a boat.
Exactly.
And so we took this little teeny plane. You talk about turbulence, you haven't felt turbulence, so you get in that thing. And we flew around and saw things, and when Tanya saw the helicopter that somebody else had rented coming between the mountains, she said, "Oh my God, I'm glad we chose the plane," because man, it was scary to see that. But it was a beautiful time. You know, we enjoy life. God has blessed us to do a lot of things. We love to travel together and do things. So
Good stuff. Good big shout out to Derek. Derek, who just the car logic man himself, joined us. Thank you for tuning in, Derek. We're here sitting with Tanya E. Hood and Mr. Eric B. Hood, who is just talking about how they got to know each other and how the friendship turned into the relationship. And bring us to that wedding piece. How did the proposal thing happen?
Well, to go back a little, God showed me at a point that Tanya was the one, and I realized that. And by this point, we were best friends.
Oh, so you haven't been in the courtship phase
we were
reached
best
point.
friends, and I shared that revelation
That's very
with Tanya.
interesting.
I shared it with her, and she got angry with me.
That is.
She said, "I don't see what you see," and I said, "Hold on." I'm not going to change what God showed me because you haven't seen it. I'm going to hold on to what God told me.
Hold on.
Yes. And so
Big shout out to Lionel Green.
So I told her that I would still be the best friend to her that I could be, and we left that alone. And then one day, This young lady never likes to miss work. Never. And she called me and she says, she said, can you come past my house? And mind you, I'd never even been to her house. She said, can you come past my house after class on Saturday from the financial service business? And I said, sure. Where do you live? And so she told me, and I said, what's going on? She said, I didn't go to work today. This was on a Friday. I said, she didn't go to work today. That's not like her. She must be ill. She told me she'd been up all night. I said, what? So that's okay, cool. So after class on Saturday, I go over to her house, and she sits Indian style facing me, and I'm looking straight ahead, and she blurts out and says, I'm in love with you. What am I going to do with that? And if you haven't noticed, I'm not
So it's a strategic engineer-ish person, number 17.
So here's the thing.
Wait. I'm never lost for words, but I was that day. Tongue didn't fall out. Tongue was just stuck. I was like, what'd you say?
Wow.
And she repeated it. Point blank, boom, in my face.
Woo.
And I was stuck.
What was going on with you?
That's what I was trying to figure out. So here's the thing about
being... Were you at that point of frustration? Because it sounded almost, not saying you were frustrated, but it's almost like you had to get this out.
I did. So God and I had been going through lots of different discussions, and the way God has an individual way how he deals with each of us and teaches us and shows us, and the way he puts me on my lesson plan had all started coming to a particular head. And every scripture that I was reading, he would send me. I was like, okay, Lord, now, all right, now I feel like you're picking with me.
We had a partnership. That's me and my daddy.
Because now, this is not by happenstance.
Wow.
So the thing for me, being strategic, when you are operating from your head, you cannot hear your heart. And I have survival mode is what I'll call it, been operating from my head to function. And I had gotten to a better position in my life. My world had turned around. I got out of the drama from my first divorce. My children were more stable because I was more stable. But I operated all of that from my head knowledge, and I was using my spiritual knowledge just to fill in the holes. I wasn't using my spiritual knowledge to give me a guide. So when God gave me a revelation that did not make sense to me, because the first three on that list was my carnal vision, and he didn't fit it. I'm like, okay.
You have to keep talking about that part.
He's a great guy, but can you really be in a relationship with your best friend? I didn't know that was possible. We all say we want it, but when you are actually in a situation where that's possible, you're not really sure you want it. And so my head was like, no, and my heart was like, yes, and I was sitting there baffled. And in my confusion, I am very blunt. I'm very straightforward because I need to get to the fastest path possible to get to a solution. And so I gave him a 6-page letter that I had been up all night writing, pretty much, which is why I did not go to work.
A 6-page letter?
Count them, 6.
Yes.
Wow.
I did a data dump.
Data dump?
A data dump.
30 seconds, what does that mean?
For those that are not in the engineering field, when you do a data dump, you take as much information as possible and you put it all in one space so that you can do an analysis. I did a data dump.
6 pages.
And then I just presented it to him and wait. Because you see, he talks. I just knew. Especially because before then, he had already shared with me his revelation.
So what was on that paper?
We're not going to discuss that here.
Okay.
No. But what I will say, I had finally reached a point of clarity that God had already given him months before.
Okay. All right, so now...
To get forward to that marriage thing.
Yes.
So, as we started courting, and we were still best friends, we still hung out, we dated. We had fun. We did things. We talked on the phone for 8 hours at a time. Things like that. People, it happens. We did that. And I'm not talking about where you fall asleep and wake up and sleep. No, we talked for 8 hours like a job. We did stuff like that. We shared our live stories. We shared our fears. We shared our concerns. We shared our dreams with each other. And we just kept getting closer and closer and closer. And then one day, she said to me, will you marry me? And I looked at her, I thought she was playing, right? Because I knew doggone well I was going to marry this woman. But I wasn't used to the woman asking me, am I going to marry her?
Right.
And I still don't know if she was playing or not. But I think she was serious because she's very serious about what she wants. And so I don't remember.
Because you asked not.
So we didn't set a date then, but I did propose to her through a poem. And her engagement, I wrote another one, and they're framed on our bedroom, and on the wall in our bedroom now. I looked at them today, matter of fact. because I knew we were coming here. And purple is my favorite color.
Yes.
So they're written in purple for passion and royalty. And so I proposed to her and I asked her to marry me, and she said yes. And I was the happiest man in the world at that moment. You couldn't tell me anything. I'm way up there. I'm all the way up, as they say.
All the way up.
And that was it, you know. And then she shared with me about her birthday present and getting married on the island and all of that. And so I asked her to pick whatever island she wanted, because to me it didn't matter. I was gonna have the girl, you know, so I didn't care where it was. And so she picked St. Thomas.
It's
and
perfect too. Wasn't there like a Caribbean song about the girl, the girl,
Hey,
you know?
all I know is God worked it out. That nice spot that you saw us standing on was very expensive. That wasn't a part of our original plan, but God worked it out so that we could get that, because it was going to be on the beach.
So let me pause. God orchestrated that. The package that we paid for, no way possible. And to get that gazebo, you have to book your wedding plan 2 years
Way
in
before.
advance.
Wow.
We decided we were getting married 6 months before we did it.
Wouldn't need to wait no more.
So God planned.
Worked it out.
He planned because the lady came and she says, this never happens. I've been working here, what'd she say, 15 years?
I forgot how long
She's been working there for about
but
15 years. She
and it never
always does
happened.
the planning, and she says it never happens.
Wow.
So she gave me a free room.
Oh my goodness, the girls got everything.
Did not pay for that. You
They
have
had
to
the
pay for
room
that
with champagne, and the guy that I told you ran the office, my best friend, he and his wife were there. He was my best man. We got nada. They got a room, champagne, all this for the wedding, and we got nada. We got to ride on a little cart. That was pretty
And
much
for
it.
those who don't know what nada means, it's nothing. That's what, zilch, zero.
Zero. But it was
Okay.
all good though. It was good.
It looked like it was a wonderful, beautiful
Awesome.
wedding.
It was
And
awesome.
So you guys been married for 9 years now.
It'll be 9 in January. January 24th.
And it seems as if you guys are still on your honeymoon.
Every day. Every day.
Love it.
I love
Because even when I was, listen, folks, when I was talking to them on the phone, for them to get here, I mean, it was almost as if I wasn't even on the phone. It's like, can I just talk to you all for a minute to see if I can book you guys here on the show? The rapport that you have with each other and the communication that you have with each other is just absolutely phenomenal. But we're going to have to get ready to go. But I want to talk about, you both are two authors.
Yes.
And let's talk with Tanya. You have a book called Red Alert.
Yes.
Is he the one?
Yes.
So in this book, you basically break down your life history as far as even coming from out of the divorce to coming into an identity of who you are as a person.
Exactly.
And then also having a list or somewhat of a characteristic of who the person is that could be the one for you out there. So you recommend this book for the ladies, is that right?
So let me share a little bit about the book. The book, even though it's titled Red Alert, Is He the One? It's a book about self-discovery, self-journey, and relationship. This is my editor.
Yes.
So for men that are looking to gain some insights and some strategies, the book will walk you through. You can use it in a 90-day session to analyze your relationships. Chapters 1 through 3 takes you through the first 30 days of discovering more of who you are personally. Chapters 4, 5, and 6 gives you a discovery of those around you, whether it's a relationship with an individual that you want to have romantically, or just a relationship with your family, your friends, or your business environment. And chapter 7 is a deep dive. That's the one that will take you into the 90 days. That's a deep dive that will give you the glue to give you clarity about what happened in chapters 1 through 6.
And it's all about me. So this is your book.
It's all about me, motivation, and encouragement.
It's all about me, motivation and encouragement.
Yes, I was told that I was arrogant for writing a book. It's all about me. That's because people don't read the whole title. And it's not about me. It's about motivation and encouragement.
Okay, so in small print down here, if you can...
I grew up a young man in a household without a father. I made a lot of mistakes in life. And a lot of those mistakes could have landed me in jail or 6 feet under, had it not been for the grace of God. So I believe with everything that's in me that God had put me here to motivate and encourage other people, and that my life was my training ground for doing what I do now. I've been a mentor for 31 years. I've volunteered in Prince George's County Public Schools for 10 years. Well, I'm still kind of doing that. And I have a second book that I'm working on right now that I can't give the title out just yet, but it'll be more about my journey as a mentor and a coach.
Oh, nice.
And that's what I do. I found myself now mentor adults as well. You know?
Great. So we got two 2 husband and wife and 2 authors. Look at that. Isn't that great? So those books are out now. Tanya, you have something coming up October 19th.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about A Time for Redeem from the Past. Can we show that flyer across the screen as Tanya talks about
A Time of Healing, Redeemed from the Past is a workshop where I'm partnering with a former WBGR host,
Yes.
France Neptune.
France Neptune, big shout out to you, France. Edify your sister all day.
Exactly. She is phenomenal. And the two of us are partnering together to provide strategies to get whole and healed from the past. Because a lot of times you can't get present or move to your future because you keep stumbling over your past. And we're going to give people tools during the workshop, October 19th. It's local. It's at the Landover Kentland Community Center. The tickets are available now, and today is the very last day to get the early bird special. You can go to tanyaehood.com. Order your tickets today if you want the discount. Full price will take place tomorrow.
Can I add something to that? With Tanya's book and the program that she and France are doing, it's not just for ladies. That book I read before anybody else read. And there's so many things that a man can learn about a relationship from a lady's perspective. So fellas, humble yourselves. Don't think it's not macho to read that book or attend the events because it's about healing.
You gotta know what the women are thinking too, fellas.
But they're life strategies.
All right, life strategies. Well, hey, look, that's all the time we have for today, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
And Mrs. Hood.
It's been a pleasure.
Appreciate you guys. And that's all the time we have. I Am Not Your Enemy, Talk TV, social media, podcast, radio show. You can always catch us here on WBGR Entertainment. I'm your host, comedian Coy, a.k.a. Nice Guys Advocate. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Coy LaSone.